Do you find yourself always listening to podcast, music, anything to fill the silence? Perhaps you are unable to sit with your own feelings and thoughts. If that's the case, this message may want to find you. This resistance may be there to tell you something if you listen. We've all fallen victim of this form of escapism one way or another at some point in our lives. And if this is you right now, I want you to know that when you resist, that is you ignoring your inner child. Let me expand on that. It's a form of self-harm disguised as a form of self-protection.
Clacky beats.
It's possible that when you were a child, you may have found yourself at a moment where you felt unheard, alone, unloved, or simply neglected in one way or another. Perhaps you felt misunderstood in a situation where you needed reassurance from someone outside of yourself. And so when you procrastinate or try and quiet down the thoughts and feelings that you are avoiding, what you're effectively doing is reinforcing that wound. You are neglecting yourself. And I just want you to imagine that anytime you do that, you're perpetuating that form of neglect to your inner child.
Yeah, double homicide.
We're thrust upon this earth, unable to care for ourselves. And for the majority of the first part of our lives, we depend on others for our survival. And it's something no one really prepares us for growing up and becoming adults, because we all still need that form of care that we grew up knowing that we needed. And so, in a weird way, you have to become your own parent when you're an adult. And this is part of that. There's a part of you as a child that needed that attention, that needed that validation. And when you procrastinate or neglect sitting down with your feelings because you don't want to feel the negative things that you may be feeling, that's that wound where you were not paid attention to or validated, and where your feelings were misplaced. Because even if you're suffering because of a recent experience or these recent negative thoughts, this cycle that you're in and this thing that you seem to not be able to get out of is a repeat of that initial wound, of that very first time, which one way or another, we all experience that, because nobody is perfect, and caregivers, that's their first time on earth as well. And they don't always have the answers, or they don't always act perfectly. So no matter what, you may have experienced this one way or another in your life, in childhood. So this cycle that you're in is just a repeat of that initial wound. Because having that happened installed this idea in your mind, or this perception that that is possible, that your needs are not 100% met all the time. And so it's almost as if you learn that that's the sort of relationship that you have with yourself at times. You experience this and you think, I guess I'm not worthy of attention, or I guess this feeling that I have is not always going to be comforted. And in that way, you learn to avoid and ignore whatever it is that you were feeling and sit it out. And it would eventually change or go away with a new sort of thought or feeling that may come in. Yet, that's written in the memory of your body, in your mind. So, when things get really, really hard and you don't have the answers, this is what happens. And it's okay. It's not wrong of you to want to numb yourself out, distract yourself, or simply muffle out the noise with all the noise, constant things. Because it's uncomfortable to sit with certain feelings that we don't precisely welcome. But it is important. It's a part of you that needs attention. And it is in sitting with this information and allowing it to come up that helps you heal and move past it. You'd be surprised how it's able to unfold and untie like a knot once you place the attention on it, because that's all it's asking for. It's as if you have your younger self in front of you asking you, please, to pay attention to it. Want it or not, you'll learn one way or another that the only way is through. Now, what you can do is be better equipped to go through that journey. And you're not alone. There are people out here that are happy to help you and guide you through these things, because you're not alone. And when you're not alone, things are less scary. So give yourself some grace and be gentle with yourself. We may grow our bodies and grow older, but it's our first time here, and we're all like children. If you start seeing people in life that way, you'd have way more compassion for others, even those people that are hateful, and which precisely those are the most hurt people, those that hurt other or are malicious. And everyone needs a bit more compassion, which that doesn't excuse their behavior, but giving yourself compassion can really be helpful. Numbing yourself can go so far. Sooner or later, you're going to have to face yourself and those feelings. And it's all for your benefit. That's the funny thing about it. It seems very scary, but what's on the other side is far better than what's now. Remember that.